Hey guys, it's TT
and Kim O,
and we are back with another episode of Trigger Warning.
That's right, and a full glossed up lip.
Exactly.
Thank
this
you.
is starting to become my favorite show to tape. You know, I have so many things that I do, but this is starting to become one of my favorite shows.
A tear rolls out of my eye.
I don't like when I post on social media though and put you as a collaborator. And
Why?
then you accept, because the people that follow you,
I got ratchet ass followers.
They be saying some crazy stuff in the comments, and I'll be like, "Yo, who
friends?
the fuck are these people following Kim?"
Yeah, a bunch of thugs, huh?
A bunch of thugs.
A lot of testosterone in my comments, right?
Yeah, I was like, wow, we need to soften these folks up some. They need to have a drink or two, go out, have a good time. I just really feel like sometimes when two women talk in this hip hop space, it becomes very sexist.
Yeah, it's very
us.
sexist.
It's like we can't have an opinion. We can't talk about rap beats.
No.
And who are they? It's like,
no.
Google us, okay? Because we both, between the two of us, have 50 years of experience in the culture.
A lot of experience. You know, and that doesn't mean I'm not still learning. I'm still learning, and especially when it comes to doing this. And I will say that, you know, this is a commitment, right? So, like, people have asked me for a very long time, why you don't podcast? And I'm like, it's not that I don't have something to say and I don't want to say it. It's just that you have to be committed to doing that. It's an entirely different thing than what I actually do in my career to make a living. So this is something separate. And I feel like every time we come, I think about it and I'm like, all right, what am I going to say? Because I want to make sure, right? I have no filter, as you're probably learning. Mm-hmm. But I want to make sure that professionally, I'm still policing my comments. And I don't want to be reckless. And I, was just listening to our last podcast. I don't know, what was that, the third or the fourth? Was that the third?
I think we got like the third one.
The third.
So we're still early.
It was the third. We're still early. We said we was going to get a few in the can before we really started going out there and promoting. And I was listening to it and I was like, I don't know what I was going through that day, but I woke up like I don't really give a fuck. Yeah. And I was just saying shit and I was listening and I was like, oh my God, as this thing gets going, you're going to start, because I know myself.
You're going to start not giving a fuck more and more.
I'm going to start saying shit, right? And listen, I'm always sort of like open to like, it is what it is. And if I say it on a microphone, I'll say it to your face. But I think
that we're also stepping into a phase in our lives, in our careers, where we really don't give a fuck.
No, I don't care.
We don't care what you say, how you feel about us. We really don't give a fuck. And
that was a quote, what you just said. That's a lyric. We don't care what you say about us, what you think about us. It's from the Downfall.
But I got a bunch of just people be commenting, right, on
lyrics
our
in my
shit,
head.
Whether they're talking about how we look or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you think I give a fuck about what someone says?
Well, I do give a fuck about how I look. Let me just say that.
Media. No, I mean,
every time, that's another thing. So
but
when
you
I see
care about how you look,
when
but you
I
don't
see
give a fuck about somebody commenting about you. Like, who cares if they think, oh, you?
I care.
I care. Oh,
I do care. I'd be like, damn, why you go outside looking like that? Because I don't be giving a fuck. And I sometimes when this stuff
you
lives
care about
on.
what they say, or you care about like.
Can it affect me? I think it. You know what? I think I care about what. I think it depends on who it's coming from. I think.
But
it
a stranger?
On,
do you care?
Nah, not really. No, not a stranger.
Because I'm gonna say, Kim, you don't strike me.
No, I don't care about a stranger. But like.
But
when
like
I
if
post,
it was your kids,
people
or
call
like
me, right? My friends call me, my colleagues, they call me and they ask me, oh, you doing this? Oh, you said this. And I have those conversations. And it's like sometimes I have to defend what I said. Really? And I'm like, wow, I said it and that's how I feel. And they might even make me look at it differently after the fact. And I'm like, all right, well, you got a point, but oh, well, I said it. I said it, oh, well.
I saw you for a little bit at the BET Awards.
A very small.
I saw you twice, actually.
At the Media House?
I saw you at the media house, and I saw you at the actual award show. I believe you were with Ray J.
Was I running after Ray J?
You was with Ray J, and me and Remy was like kind of at the bottom.
Yes, I saw y'all. I saw y'all. Now I remember.
But I wanted to know what was going on with Ray J. Why was he being so loud like that?
Oh my God.
Was he just craving for attention? Because
no, I mean Ray J is being Ray J. As far as I'm concerned, like I've known Ray J since he was, I'm gonna say 14, but he was very young when he first came to my office at the Source. And back then, and this is before he was putting out his music, or when he was about to put out his music, I knew instantly he was going to be a star. I'm like, this is a star, right? Even though this was Brandy's little brother, this is a star. I could tell he had that personality and charisma. Now, I did not anticipate that reality TV would, in the hip hop space especially, would become what it was. But if you look at what reality TV is today, the success of the marriage of hip hop and reality TV, Ray J is a huge part of that. His personality, how he's put that together.
Wait, did he have For the Love of Ray J?
Yeah.
Was that the name of his show?
For the Love of Ray J.
Because I remember interviewing every week. He would do commentary on my radio show. He would call in every week. And then the girls would chime in. And then at the reunion shows, I would fly to wherever he was at the reunion shows and capture content.
If you just think about from a content perspective, right?
Can you believe that? Like
and
the producers are laughing like, what?
Yeah,
you used
no.
to do that? I did. And I would air it back. I would come with my tape recorder because back then we didn't think about media as a visual.
No.
You know, when in radio, I would come with my microphone and my audio recordings, but I wouldn't come with my cameras. And I would literally tape, the girls backstage before they hit the set, and I would have access to a lot of that. That's kind of how I really blew up and made a name for myself on radio, was because I was getting all those behind the scenes.
But that's so important. Content. When he was doing it, right? Like when you think about VH1 and what that became with hip hop and reality TV, right? Even stuff like early Breakfast Club success, right? Like it was, remember his interview was like the thing that really went viral for I don't know if it was the first time, but
that's the interview that put the show on the map.
It was Ray J. He was at the core of that. So even when you look at Zeus, and that's what happened that night at BT Awards that people were talking about.
So was that real or staged?
Their interaction?
Yeah.
I mean,
because it felt very stagey because he is promoting.
They really don't get along though.
For real, because Ray J started his own network, right?
Right, but remember, he was down with Zeus at one point.
Okay.
Early on.
I didn't know that. You just
early on, I believe. I correct me if I'm wrong out there, but from what I remember, when they launched that network, he was a part of that launch. So Ray J had a show with Princess, I think, and that show was on that network, and that was the thing that put Zeus on the map. In my mind, I remember my first interaction or first knowledge of Zeus was Ray J. So I don't really know what happened. The business, I don't know. He's launching his own network now. We saw at the BET Awards, and it's funny that you saw me with him because I was working with them on the network on something they were doing backstage where he was hosting, and he just wanted to come out for a second. So he, of course, in his true Ray J fashion, he ran out from backstage, and the cameras couldn't move because they were on sticks. So I just kind of was capturing stuff on my phone. And it was so hectic right there. He couldn't get in during the commercial breaks, and he had to go back to host. So he never got into that door. But it had nothing to do with the security of it all.
Because I was like, what in the world?
That happened later. By the time the videos and people that knew that I was working with them on something backstage were like, oh my God, did you see those videos that came out were hours after the award show was over.
Where they got into it.
Yes, that was
he allegedly slapped him.
I saw the video. I left Ray J.
The hand did kind of touch the face.
Listen, I saw the videos the next morning. When I left him, he was in the lobby of the hotel, and I had gone upstairs, and I don't know what happened after that. I don't know what party they went to, where that was. I don't know anything about that. But I literally saw it the next morning. I was like, oh my God.
Do you like working on reality television?
Sometimes. if I have talent that understands what it is, then I like it. If I have talent that doesn't get it, that they actually think like my life is a reality show or I'm so famous and that's going to make this show successful, that doesn't work on reality TV.
So you never wanted to be in front of the camera? You always just wanted to do the behind the scenes?
I did the front of the camera thing first.
Yeah.
Because when I came out of the source, right, that was, but I was kind of, I think I was at the point where.
That was that new show, right? I forgot the name.
Gossip Game.
Gossip Game.
I was aging out by that point. It's already like people online was like, she's too old to be. I was like, well, damn. Because you look now at the guys on reality TV, they older than me.
Yeah.
But for women, you age out very quickly.
Not if you're on the Real Housewives franchise.
Right.
Because them bitches be
But that's kind of a
90.
different.
Still
that's
doing
like
it.
outside of hip hop.
Yeah.
With hip hop, they always want fresh and young, and you know what I mean? Even though Love and Hip Hop skews a little older, I think for what was going on when I kind of came in the door and was doing that stuff, and it was women working behind the scenes. So people weren't as impressed with those type of stories. Like, oh my God, they're actually working.
Yeah.
No, that was different.
Yeah.
That was different.
Basketball Wives seems to do really well, and they're older. I know Shawnee, I think when I look at Shawnee, Evelyn, the OGs, Doug Christie's wife, what's her name? I can't remember.
Jackie Christie.
Jackie Christie. They're in their 50s.
They're older, right. And I think that the franchise is, sometimes it just comes down to the production company and just having, you know, better spending, right? Like knowing how to manage that.
You like being behind the scenes better?
Yes, sometimes.
So let's talk about the BET Awards. A lot happened.
I did.
I got a chance to talk to Scarlett at the BET
you
Awards.
did?
Mm-hmm. And I told her you were not happy with the twerk video. She wanted me. She wanted me to tell you that she.
You an instigator.
She wanted to do the video, but she understands.
Right.
Her fans, you know, want what they want, and it's all about how she delivers it.
Well, let me say this, because when we taped that, it was before she put out sort of like an apology.
Yeah.
And then we left, and I saw the apology, and I thought that that was so commendable of her to actually acknowledge what her fans were saying in the comments, which was what I was feeling.
Yeah.
And so I remember I was like, damn, I wish I had seen this before we went on a podcast and I said what I said. Because she, you know, it's like a learning experience for her. She's young, right? She's like consuming stuff. And so I would love to meet her because, you know, first of all, Swizz, Rough Riders, like I love those guys. You know, I love what they're doing with her. And I like the way she responded to the criticism. I thought it was very mature of her to do that.
I think I can help you with that.
Aww.
I think I can make that introduction.
We should have her up. Yeah. Even though my big thing was like, oh, I like this thing of having no guests for a little while.
I do. I don't think we need guests.
I don't think so either. I think, and again, like I told you, when I listen to it, it's the personal conversations that we have that really interest me. Not saying we can't talk about what's going on in the streets and hip hop or whatever it is, but I feel like as women, the connection that we have and the stories we have experienced in the industry, like I feel like that's I know we're trying to figure this thing out, but I really feel like that's the secret sauce.
Yeah.
So
I have to ask you, because you're a mother of 2 daughters. Mm-hmm. I just have a son, but I do have nieces. Mm-hmm. And I hear sometimes from parents that the mother-daughter relationship dynamic is different than the mother-son relationship. And you have the experience with both, right? Yeah. So maybe, is it the Zeus Network? Yeah, it's the Zeus Network.
Here we go again, talking about Zeus, giving them a lot of shine.
Giving them a lot of plug. They put together a new show with Tia Kemp, which is Rick Ross's baby mother. Mm-hmm. Clarissa, which is the mother of Blueface. Mm-hmm. And Tokyo Toni, who is Black Chyna's mother.
It's called the Auntie Podcast.
Yeah. I saw the first clips. First, I said to myself, this is a genius idea to put them together if you are going for ratings, clickbait, salacious type of content.
Right.
It's perfect. It's genius to put those three together.
Right.
Whoever thought of that, they need a pay raise.
Mm-hmm.
But after I watched the content, particularly the part where Black China's mom, Tokyo Toni, was talking to the game, and he made reference to a sexual performance that Black China did on him, to him, whatever, however you want to phrase it. And then her response to that.
Did she flash him?
She flashed the cootie cat.
But it's Zeus. And listen.
I don't know if it was the bear cootie cat, you know.
Right.
But I thought, like, yo, that's wild.
It's wild.
That
but that's what they're known for. They're known for that.
I know, but I'm just like, yo, that's so wild that you will allow a man to talk about your daughter in that way, and then you invite him to your cookies after he said that. And then you wonder why generational trauma continues, right? Because you're looking in real life, like, that's your daughter who's trying to clean up her life. She has made it very clear that she's trying to turn her life around. Then she has a daughter of her own, which is your granddaughter, and you're in your 50s, probably damn near 60, participating in this type of behavior. When are you going to grow up?
Well,
am I wrong for feeling
I don't
this
think
way?
I don't think you're wrong. You have your feelings. Like, I am a lover of content, and I consume all different types of content. And I've heard the stories from people about the damage that reality TV has done to our generation. And I get it, but I also work in the space. So I kind of I'm like, yeah, well, it also has provided a lot of opportunity for people who wouldn't have had it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do a show where the person would go so far as to do that. Just me. That's my prerogative.
As your producer, Kim.
As a producer, Kim.
Okay.
Producer Kim, I wouldn't do that show. But I can see the audience for it, so I get it. I'm not really watching, like, I see the clips, but even before she did that, because I saw clips before she did that, I never had it in me to go watch that podcast. It just wasn't for me. But nothing on that network really is for me. I see the clips, I'll talk about them. Sometimes they're topical. I'm like, okay, but it's kind of taken the ratchetness that couldn't be aired on TV for whatever reasons. And I constantly say, God bless what they're doing, but God forbid something happens. Someone asked me, do you have any shows you want to pitch to Zeus? I said, I got a ton of stuff that's been pitched to me that will fit right on that network, and I will absolutely send it their way, but I am not going on set.
That's where you draw the line.
I will not be on that set. Because I can tell from the scenes that I see on the set that it might put me in a compromising situation. I'm not on any set that a glass could be thrown, something could shard in my eye. I'm too old. I'm just not interested in being in that type of environment. But they're getting attention, right? They're making a lot of money. And unfortunately, it's probably going to take something happening before they change their process and their production and their standards, right? Because I know they don't probably have, or maybe they do, like a standards and practices department that's like, I think this might be
a lawsuit in the making.
Right?
You know what I thought was not funny?
What?
That No Jumper interview where Pop Smoke.
Let's talk about that.
Murderer.
Let's talk about that. Because when I saw it, I was very conflicted about it. As someone who loves true crime, to watch a lot of that content. But and then I also have this thing with myself, right? And the people who are reporting on hip hop culture. So I watch how hip hop is covered on No Jumper, on Vlad TV, and the interviews that they do. So I waited. I was like, okay, let me see. I didn't watch the whole interview. I need to go back and watch the whole interview to see how he handled it. But I did see his apology, Adam 22's apology, right? Not apology, Wait, let me stand corrected.
That was not an apology.
I saw his post. He was justifying his position, right?
In my opinion, he was doubling down on why he did it.
Right, which was interesting because why did you feel the need to do that? Like, why did you feel the need to explain yourself? If you're doing what you're doing, right, this journalist, like, you know, what pressure did you feel like you were under that you needed to explain yourself? Now, the difference about it is that I don't feel like they do a lot of interviews, I think, not just No Jumper Vlad, Art of Dialogue, like all of these like YouTube, what are we calling them? YouTube journalists, right? All of these YouTube journalists, they are doing their interviews and calling themselves journalists. And I don't want to be the person to say that they're not, right? Because now I don't want to go around with a checklist about, are you doing this or are you doing that? But I think the issue that I'm having is that you're a platform that really focuses on hip hop, right? Like, and on the culture. I've heard him say he focuses on street culture, which would make it different, right? Like, so I'm not clear on what their beat is when they're doing these interviews, right? Because is it okay if ABC News or whoever does an interview with Pop Smoke's Killer? They would do that. They absolutely would do that. But they're not a hip hop, you know, platform. So I'm conflicted on it. Because in his argument, some of what he was saying, even though he was justifying his behavior, and I don't necessarily know his reasons, but some of what he was saying was valid. Some of what he was saying was valid.
What was valid to you?
I think when he was talking about telling stories, doing interviews, right? Like covering the streets, covering crime.
But he's saying his job is to feed the streets. What
he said was, the thing that he said that caught me.
Not to. Your job is to feed the streets. What you meant by that was your job to feed your blog, to get your clicks, and to have engagement.
I don't doubt that.
You didn't feed in the streets. Not only was that disrespectful to Pop's family, but that also put that kid in jeopardy.
I do agree with that.
To be harmed. So you did a disservice
that.
not only to Pop's family and his fans, but you also did a disservice to the person you interviewed. And you did it for clicks and views and engagement. You didn't do that shit because you was like,
that's where the hip hop comes in.
Some journalistic story. It was nothing journalistic about it.
Right, but there was something journalistic about it. Here's the thing. That's where the hip hop comes in, right? And when you are from the culture, you have that care for the culture, right? So you don't do certain things. Like, we were very, very conscious of that at the source, right? We wouldn't do an interview that would put somebody's life in jeopardy. After Biggie and Pac, because when I got there it was after Biggie and Pac, we were super careful about the things we reported, knowing what had happened with East and West Coast and all of that stuff, right? So, but we also, coming from within the culture, had a care about the culture. And we wanted to make sure the mainstream wasn't necessarily looking at us a certain way. So we were like a reflection of the culture. When you look at No Jumper, and that's the responsibility that is in conflict, do you consider that a reflection of hip hop culture? Because if you do, then I understand the argument. But if you look at it for what it is, and I've always looked at it for what it is, I see a white boy when I look at that platform. I don't look at it as from
a culture vulture when you look at that platform?
I don't look at, and I don't know, because is that racist for me to say that? But I see a white boy who isn't from the culture of hip hop. That's what I should say, right? So I don't look at them as being a platform that's going to protect the culture and protect the stories in our culture. The same thing with Vlad. That's the issue that I have.
As a young black man and all that you could be, and you get out of jail and you want to still be gangster and you want to still talk about people die every day, B, it's like, my brother, love yourself. You are a black king. You don't see it yet.
And maybe had he done that interview with an OG that could show him, right? Like if he had taken that interview to someone who might have understood
and poured into him, yes,
we would have a different result, right? But that was my point about the platform and where it was going.
But that's my point. It's like you're exploiting this kid. You're not helping him. You're hurting him because you're putting him in harm's way of the street culture, number one, and you're also reopening wounds to Pop's family that you probably don't even know you're opening. And this kid can't see past right now.
Right.
And imagine if that kid walked out of that interview and somebody took his life.
No, I think that's what I said. That was crazy. That part is crazy.
How would his family, let me just say this, if that kid walked out that interview and somebody took his life that day, someone who loved him would be hurt. They wouldn't be on a radio or on a podcast or anything on a platform saying people die every day, B. Your family would be hurt. So it's like.
But this is why I made the comparison to East, West, Pac, and Biggie, and the responsibility that we had and why we would think about that before we publish things, right? Like that understanding of the culture is what makes the difference here. And that's my point about the platform.
I just wish
do we look at them as they are part of the culture?
Speaking of mature, Joe Biden.
That was a weird ass segue, but it was good. It was good.
That's that 20 plus years of radio experience, baby.
It was good.
Spinning that around like that. Okay.
Joe Biden.
You love that segue. There are some folks who are asking him to drop out.
Down, yeah.
Because of that debate that he had with Trump.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I don't care if Joe Biden is in ICU with a mask on his face with a geriatrics doctor. I will never support Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's just my personal political view.
I think it's too late for us as a community to have this conversation. If we really, I feel strongly about making sure Trump doesn't get elected, then the conversation around can Biden,
do the job
is just hurting us. Because really just should be, at this point, you're voting to keep Trump out of office. That's it. So know that Biden and whatever he's, going through, his administration is a better option, in my opinion, my political view, than what we've seen already from Trump.
Yeah.
So, I think that sometimes the conversation hurts. It hurts what's going on because we are almost taking the credit away. I think, what are we going to do now? If we were having this conversation maybe 2 years ago, but the election is what?
In November.
4 months away? So July, August. Yeah, we can't even, because they can't do anything about it now. They can't. It's too late. So you just got to kind of roll with it and just, roll with it, roll him up like Weekend at Bernie, whatever they need to do.
Weekend at Bernie.
Because I said, when I saw the video of him at the Juneteenth celebration, I said, oh my God, it's a Weekend at Bernie's. Did you see it? He was not moving. I said, OMG. But, we got to roll with that because I think the other option is so bad. It's so bad.
Project 25 alone
to be there again.
The shit out of me.
I don't want to be there again. So.
And then Trump denouncing Project 25 is like, bro, all of your top aides.
I mean, just the thought of what we went through in the pandemic, right? It's just kind of crazy.
But people forget. People
really did.
I think that some people really forget. Like
were they not there? It was just 4 years ago.
It was just 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Did you not?
Yeah.
Party all throughout America when this man got out of office. There were people having parades.
I mean,
when he got out.
I just can't. Let's not be back there.
So
Horrible.
the bottom line is get your ass off that couch.
Yeah.
Vote for the Biden administration. As Kim will put it, I like that. You're voting for the administration.
You're voting for the team. Listen, you never the head person in charge is never really doing anything anyway, right? They're just like saying what to do, and the person under them is saying what to do, and then you have all the right people in the right positions. Like, that's it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're voting for democracy.
Yeah. You're voting against Trump. That's really what it is.
We're voting for democracy. And I personally feel, just my political views, that Trump would be the death of democracy as we know it.
It's just, yeah.
I don't know if you've been paying attention to that Project 25, but that thing is, whew, that thing is something. People have to really take the time to research that. Every time I hear Trump talk or I see something on Project 25, I always go to The Handmaid's Tale. Have you watched that show? No. Handmaid's Tale?
No.
On Hulu? Kim.
Watch that
You
show?
are a TV buff.
I know. You know what's crazy? I haven't been on Hulu in a minute. I don't know why. I think that I was scarred by the Wu-Tang last series.
You didn't like the
season.
Wu-Tang series?
Not the last season. I felt like the first season was very strong, and I loved the nostalgia of it. And then I don't know what the heck they was doing in the third season. I was like, I don't know what's going on. This is crazy.
Listen, you have to watch
shut the whole Hulu off. I said, don't do my Wu-Tang like that. Shut the whole Hulu off. Really? I was like, the whole Hulu has to be shut off. Yes, I did. I don't remember what the password is.
Okay,
and then the Kardashian show is on Hulu, right?
You watch that show still?
I watch that show for the production value as a producer. So I watch it to see what they're doing. And it's crazy to me because they have the biggest budget and it's beautifully shot. It looks amazing. But I think, right, for what they're able to do, like, they could go to commercial break on like, oh my God, she tripped and fell. Like, and I would never be able to produce a show where I could go to a break on somebody like hitting their head on, like hitting their elbow, their funny bone. Like that is the difference.
To go to a break and do something like
no,
that? Like, I don't understand.
Sorry, I'm talking inside of baseball code talk. Okay, so like when I watch that show and I look at how it's produced and I see the budget that they have and what they're getting, and I look at the shows that I produce and what the expectations are from me to deliver. When I say I can't go to break, right? Like at the end of an act break, like you have 3 scenes maybe in an act. And at the end of the third scene, something major has to happen in a show that I produce. Like major. Like somebody done had a miscarriage.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? They fell off the roof. They'll send it back to us like, oh, it's not happening. And then I watch like a show like The Kardashian and they'll go to break. I'm like, you guys, Kim's gonna be on The Bachelor. Ah. Then they go to break. Like, so I know when they're producing that show, like that the expectations for them is just having them is enough. We don't have to produce anything. We have them, and they can get in their interview, and they could say their eyelash fell off, and they're good. I could never deliver a show like that with our cast and our culture.
Wow.
They would be like, what's going to happen by the fourth, by the fourth act? Who's dying? Who's getting a bottle thrown at their face?
When you're not watching The Kardashians, watch The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu and get through the first 2 seasons.
Okay. For you, I will do
Promise me you'll get through the first 2 seasons because it's very dark in the beginning.
Oh.
It's very dark. It will have you crying.
Oh, God, I don't want to cry.
Boo-hoo crying. But then it gets really, really good.
Okay.
And it reminds you of so much of what we're going through politically right now. I'm like, yo, who is writing this?
I got to watch it now. It's scripted?
Watch it. It's scripted. It's a scripted series.
Okay.
It's really good. On that note, guys, we're going to wrap this up. I am TT.
I'm Kim O. Make sure you check us out on all streaming platforms.
Thank you so much. It's trigger warning, everybody.